Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, coming to you live and in the flesh, in chilly, cold Warren Hayes HQ over here up in the Great White North known as Canada. Here we are. It is January 13, 2022. We're already halfway done through the first month of the year. No, I'm not going to harp on that. Like, come on now. Come on. Let's just enjoy it. Let's not start panicking over how quickly time is flying, folks. No point in doing that. We're all going to relax here. We're all going to enjoy chatting about pro wrestling for the next sizable number of minutes that we're going to be doing here. As I said, doing it live right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Thank you all so very, very much for everyone joining us live here tonight, joining me live here in the stream. It's a fantastic group of people. First of all, I do want to take a moment here, since I'm talking about the people joining us here live in the chat. Mr. Warren Hayes Show stalwart Robert Larry, who is consistently always one of the first to be here, always a staple of the live crew. I want to extend my condolences to Robert, who lost his brother over the past week or so. Very, very saddened to hear that, Robert. My sympathies, my thoughts are with you and all of your loved ones as well. And I'm sure that the entire Mr. Warren Hayes Show community extends those same warm regards. Hopefully you'll be able to get through this, but hey, if you pop, since you're here tonight, hopefully we can get your mind off of things for just a little bit and enjoy some wrestling talk together. We've also got Tim Traver, the Diecast Collective. Tim Traver, another stalwart, long-time listener. Thank you, Tim, for being here. Kelly Tonjes is here as well. Nice to see you, Kelly. Mr. Fretz is in the house, as well as DGMC. We've got Matt Ritter from Smacking It Raw. Nice to see you, Matt. Welcome to the program. Justin Firestein here as well. Big D. Nice to see you, sir. We've also have Heather here as well. Pretty Kyle from the Apron Bump is here as well. He's such a pretty boy. Nice to see you as well. AK Germany 96, nice to see you. We also got Mr. Fretz here. Thank you very much for the 19-month membership to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, Mr. Fretz. He says, happy 19 months. He's reviewing Bash at the Beach 96 for his podcast tomorrow. So follow Mr. Fretz. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's right there. It's fantastic. Good to see you. Good to see everyone here tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us live. If you like this already, hey, likes are awesome. Likes are appreciated. Likes are cool. Even if you're watching on demand here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, just go ahead, leave a like. That stuff is chef's the keys. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, hey, I appreciate it as well. Thank you very much for just... At least, you have, I can appreciate you not wanting to endure my face as I talk about wrestling. The voice is enough, isn't it? But thank you for putting up with it on your favorite podcast application, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, so on and so forth. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you are listening to this on Spotify, you can also watch the video. It is both are available. You can switch between the audio and the video at your convenience. Now, isn't that just the bee's knees? What is Spotify if it starts playing video now? You know what I mean? Like it's not, anyway. I'm not gonna get into that. Well, no, but okay, I'm not gonna get into it. But like, it's an audio platform, right? It's an audio platform. So technically all you should be seeing is all you should be consuming is audio stuff. But now all of a sudden they're like, hey, Mr. Warren Hayes, would you like to put video up on your podcast on our, and I'm like, sure, absolutely. That'd be fantastic. I'd like to do that. So I started putting it up there. And it's just weird to me. You know, The Weeknd put out a new album just a couple of days ago. No video of The Weeknd on his Spotify base channel network. I don't know exactly how you call it. But you can't get The Weeknd video, right? You can't get his new album, Dawn FM, to play entirely on video, but you can watch the MrWarrenHayes show entirely on video. Guess who's at the top of the chain now? I'm coming for you, Joe Rogan. Hey, leave some likes and reviews and 5-star stuff. That stuff is always good. Bell to Bells, of course, I always want you guys to go check that out. That's BELLTOBELLES.com. That's where we do all our stuff about women's wrestling, and it's fantastic. Kristen is Ashley, who is the editor-in-chief of My Heart, just happens to be also the editor-in-chief of Bell to Bells. She's taken some time off, getting recentered, realigned, resting for a couple of weeks, and then she'll be back. So, you know, not necessarily any new content popping up over on belltobells.com or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/belltobells or over on Twitter at belltobells, but might as well start following them because there's going to be a deluge of stuff happening throughout the winter, and that'll be exciting shit. Yeah, there's a Discord. MrWarrenHayes Show Discord. Lovely place to come chat about wrestling. All sorts of places to come chat about wrestling. Place comes alive during live shows, especially for AEW. So if you want to hang out with people who are watching wrestling shows, come on over. The link is in the description. Just have a good time. Just click on it and do it. And you know what I forgot to tell you guys last week? I debuted something and I completely forgot to mention it, to talk about it, because you know what? Because I'm a dope. Because I'm a big old dope. I completely forgot to mention that I now have a What a Maneuver t-shirt shop over on What a Maneuver, the apparel store for, you know, all sorts of stuff, especially wrestlers. I have 2 designs up there. Fantastic. I made them myself. I'm kind of proud. I really like it, and I hope you guys like them too. Like them enough to buy some. Maybe go check it out. Again, the link is in the description. There's a t-shirt where it's only written wrestling on it, but in a very nice vintage style, like very like late 70s, early 80s kind of summer tones. I like it. I'm very proud of it. And there's another one that says, this is a good match. No, I don't even know my own catchphrase. This is a fun match, you guys. That's what it says on the t-shirt. So you could go get a look at that at the same time. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Don't forget to come and join me on the post stream along with the other members of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel right here, such as Mr. Fretz, who has been here for 19 months. We congregate. As soon as I'm done here, I pop onto a post stream exclusive for members, and we talk for another hour plus about pro wrestling amongst ourselves with the members. Live chat, Discord calls. It's a good time for members. Tonight is open mic night. No, but it's a night where the members are going to bring their own topics. I'm excited to see what they want to discuss, and then we all chat amongst ourselves. It's a good time. Come join us. You can join us on Discord. You can join us live in the YouTube live chat. It's fun. All right, it's fun. It's a good way to show some support for the MrWarrenHayes Show channel at the same time, because that's the main membership perk right there. And it's a nice little way to show some support as well. Or another way to show some support is to leave a super chat, and I will read your question, comment, or read your mood live and on the air. It's just as simple as that. So thank you very, very much for everyone for being here. Now, in case you missed last week's inaugural 2021 episode, 2022 episodes, I I'm crawling my way out of 2021. But if you were here for if you didn't, Jesus Christ, if you didn't make it for the first episode last week, let me give you a quick refresher. I have one resolution that I am sharing with all of you on a on a weekly basis here. I have given myself the resolution to say one nice thing per week about Bill Goldberg. Started last week. We're continuing this week because it is a resolution. So here's the thing, little segment I like to call 52 Nice Things About Bill Goldberg.
MrWarrenHayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg.
I admire his dedication to sporting a goatee.
MrWarrenHayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg.
Thank you very much. Before we get into the weekly wrestling inspection proper this week, it's match of the year time. It's all that stuff. Oh, by the way, just before, Pete Davies, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And I also think I saw, that's right, William Davis is here as well. Thank you very much, William, and I appreciate you appreciating when I use accents. So it's that time of year, right, where everyone starts talking about their match of the years and stuff like that, right? And that's okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start tonight by running down my top 10 matches of 2021. Now, I know a lot of you have been waiting with bated breath to hear what matches did it for me, and I'm going to run them down, maybe give a little comment or two, but yeah, I don't want to take too much time, but I want to throw this out into the universe, and you guys and gals out there in the chat, let me know if you agree, if you disagree, if you think that what was your match of the year. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's go right ahead. Let's go with my very first match of the year for 2021. Number 10, I'm going with Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37 this year. What else can you say? I mean, this was an important match. It was a critical. It was a historical match on many, many levels, but it was also a critical match where WWE, for WWE to show us that they are ready to get behind a brand new superstar and make that person into a superstar, not just their definition of superstar, like an actual real deal superstar. And Bianca versus Sasha, not only was that, it had the aura, it had the big match feel, it had everything going for it. It had people legitimately excited. Plus, hey, nice little fun match they had on top of that. Sasha is fantastic. Bianca's fantastic. Everything turned out great, and Bianca just ended up looking like $1 million in this match. So good for her. Both of them actually. That goes in at number 10. At number 9, Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay, January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 15. What am I talking about? Wrestle Kingdom 15. Hell of a match. That's all I got to say. And this was fresh off of Will Ospreay leaving Chaos, starting his own faction. Okada being his big brother figure. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on here. Great, fantastic match. Of course, it's one of the best matches that happened this year. Last year, it's on my list. But this was absolutely fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough for anyone who hasn't seen it. Number 8, and even if you have seen it, you should see it again. Number 8, Shingo Takagi versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, January 30, 2021. Of course, for New Japan Pro Wrestling at the New Beginning in Nagoya. This was when Shingo dropped the Never Openweight title to Tanahashi, and what a fantastic match it was. But Shingo started off strong at Wrestle Kingdom at Wrestle Kingdom against Jeff Cobb, and his year was just fantastic. I don't think there's anyone who has wrestled a stronger, better, more consistent year than Shingo Takagi has in 2021. I think he is absolutely, he's unquestionably the MVP of New Japan, and he's my wrestler of the year for 2021. There's no one that has wrestled on such a high level as he has, so consistently and with good to excellent matches throughout. Shingo hasn't had not even an average match, not even something really, I'm talking about the singles matches, of course. Everything he's done, good to excellent. It's just been that good of a year for our boy Shingo. Coming in at number 7, we have Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. You may have heard of this one. St. Patrick's Day Slam on March 11. The Dynamite show, the lights out match. Look, the people I showed this list to were like, oh, you're putting this one over Bianca and Sasha. That's weird. Okay. I cannot look, it's something that anyone can argue, and that's absolutely fair. The reason why I'm putting Britt and Thunder Rosa so high is because this match was critical for the AEW women's division. The AEW women, this is often we're going to look back at this point here in time. We're going to look back at that match in 10 years, is what I'm talking about. We're going to look back at that match, and I'm convinced we're going to see that as a turning point for the AEW women's division. Moving forward from something that feels developmental, that they're just trying some stuff out, to a moment where two of their women stars rose to the occasion and not only delivered, but over-delivered, and gave a dramatic, worthy performance throughout the entire match, and really shifted attention. Really and truly shifted attention to AEW's women's division. Britt Baker getting all the adulation she deserves. Thunder Rosa just continuing to prove how fantastic she is. A very, 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 very strong match, and an important one at that. Number 6, I have Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Kenoh over at Pro Wrestling Noah. This is their match last November at Noah the Best 2021. The 60-minute draw. And I mentioned this, when I was doing my Naughty and Nice list a couple of weeks ago, how there's so many time limit draws that made it happen for me, that are some of my favorite matches this year. And this one is no exception. It is a really, really good, strong wrestling match of two guys who are just beating the hell out of each other. You want to talk attrition? You want to talk about going the distance and exhausting each other and just finding energy where it is inconceivable for a human being to have that kind of energy, maintain drama till the very end, and a 60-minute match that does not feel like a 60-minute match. Just absolutely great stuff. Nakajima, Kenoh, and their story's not over either. Stablemates, I wouldn't call them friends, allies, but how long is that going to last? It's good stuff. Very good match. Number 5 is Kota Ibushi versus Jay White at Wrestle Kingdom 15. Once again, this night 2, January 15. This is the match that old Jay wormed his way into. Probably Jay White's best match of his career against Kota Ibushi, which is of course you should be having good to great matches with Kota Ibushi, but this one was, and it's not the first time these guys met either, but I think this is their best encounter. I think this is Jay's best match. He brought the best out of Ibushi. Ibushi brought the best out of Jay White. Just fantastic. Another fantastic match that doesn't feel like it's overstaying its welcome either, which is always a bit of a problem with New Japan main events, but not this one. Well-paced, athletic, dramatic. From top to bottom, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. What else have we got? Number 4, how about that? Utami Hayashishita versus Shuri. We're talking about the Stardom Tokyo Dream Cinderella match on June 12. The match, I mean, this is the match that transcended, right? That made people who never watched Joshi tune in to watch this match. And it is as good as everyone said it was. 2 fantastic wrestlers. Utami, who is still extremely young in the business, just wrestling at this high level with such talent is mind-boggling. Shuri she's a fighting machine. She's done MMA. She's done it all. Just absolutely extraordinary match, and went to a double time limit draw because they just, again, another match that went the distance where I'm like, this is great. Look at me go. Loved it. And believe you me, like, there's a lot of hype. I know there's a lot of hype that happens on Twitter for a bunch of things, and you can be turned off by that. Or sometimes it can be like, look, I've just seen this so much, and you just instinctively hate it because everybody loves this. But trust me, this is a treat for any wrestling fan. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll convert you to Joshi. That's not necessarily the thing either, but this is just a good old-fashioned wrestling match. Numéro 3. Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryanson, as I like to say. AEW Dynamite, Winter is Coming, December 15th. There you go. There's another time limit draw. Jesus, that was good. It was so good. And added to the story of Adam Page on top of that, I don't know what else can be said that hasn't been said about this match already. Just an absolute fantastic match that, I don't care what anyone says, helped to elevate Adam Page, made his win against Danielson a couple of weeks ago even sweeter. This is just beautiful stuff. We're spoiled to be getting this on our free TV. It's crazy. Just want to take a minute here to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Yeah. Nice to see you, Kristen. You're here right on time. I know you don't agree, but we're here right on time for number 2, which is Walter versus Ilya Dragunov at NXT TakeOver 36 last August. NXT's last great hurrah. Do we agree? The Black and Gold's last great match. I think it's unquestionable at this point. Plus, it was by members of NXT who aren't even on the NXT brand proper, who are over on the UK. They had to come in and save the joint. Just brutal. Absolutely fucking brutal match. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, you just go watch it. You drop everything and go watch it. There's no reason. If you didn't see their first match in 2020, which was another high-level match of the year contender, if you hadn't seen that in 2020 and you haven't seen that in 2021, I don't know what to tell you. And it's the kind of match, like, even if you don't like WWE, if you like wrestling matches, if you like a match, a fight between two guys who you're sitting there and you're going, did anyone bother to tell these dudes that, wrestling's not real and they should be looking out for each other? Because it is just an absolute brutality. Just great stuff. In a vacuum and in about itself, it's going to be one of WWE's greatest matches that they ever put on. And finally, at number 1, I have sung the praises of this match over and over again, but I will one more time. Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi at Wrestling Dantaku, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling, May 4. One of the greatest wrestling matches I have ever seen. And I've watched it twice in the lead up to making the list here, where I'm like, was it really that good? Was it that good? And yes, it was. I watched it both times, and both times it just hit me in all the right places. Two absolute ring geniuses, as I like to say. I understand that Will Ospreay comes with a certain level of controversy, and I can appreciate that. But he is undeniably one of the great wrestlers, one of the great contemporary wrestlers that we have. And if you can, if you don't want to watch a Will Ospreay match because of your convictions, that's absolutely fine. And I can't blame you for that. But if you can set that aside, or if it doesn't resonate with you, please check out this match. It is I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. New Japan, Wrestling Dantaku, May 4. Absolute fantastic stuff. There you go. There's my list. My top 10 list. I have 3 maybe honorable mentions. I've got Masha Slamovich versus Charlie Evans at Beyond Wrestling November. It was the Turkey show, right? November 25th. Just an absolutely fantastic match. At some point it's like, these are all great matches at the same time, and you're like, I have to rate these, okay, and you kind of feel bad about setting them aside, but that's an absolutely fantastic one. Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki on the AEW Rampage pre-show on fucking YouTube. It's still there for everyone to watch on October 15. Man, and that was a wild period in wrestling, right? From August to like late mid-November. Jesus, it was just nuts. All sorts of stuff going on, including this match here, which was great. And you know what? Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, WrestleMania Backlash, May 16. This is a match that I also rewatched in the lead up. I was like, I always have a great memory of this match. Is it really as good? And it's really good. It's really good. Personally, I think it's Roman's best match of 2021. Cesaro's fantastic. Just like one of these, I don't think it will ever get the proper love from WWE moving forward because it was a one-off thing, but it's unquestionably one of the top 5 WWE matches of 2021. Just incredible stuff. Just great stuff. So there you have it, folks. That was my top 10. Now it's going away. Here we go. All right. Enough self-indulgence. Let's go for why you're here. The weekly wrestling inspection starts now. Did you all hear that MLW is taking World Wrestling Entertainment to court? They have served WWE the papers, as you say in the lingo. Sometimes it makes me laugh. Anyway. Among the allegations in the suit that was filed earlier this week on Tuesday, WWE claims that, MLW claims that WWE pressured the Fox-owned streaming service Tubi to terminate a media distribution with MLD the day before it was supposed to be announced. And this is a story that did make the rounds at the time. MLW, via its CEO, Cord Bauer, stated this, and now it's a part of a lawsuit. He also claims in the antitrust suit, that WWE interfered with MLW's dealings with cable network Vice, as well as pay-per-view streamer Fight TV. There's a lot of stuff to break down here. Let's go one at a time. Big shout out to Brandon Thurston over at WrestleNomics, for whom I have sourced most of my research here. Thank you very much, Brandon. WrestleNomics. Look, another plug for Brandon, another plug for WrestleNomics. I swear to God, they don't pay me, and they don't have to, because the service that they provide the wrestling community is untouchable. Everyone talks about ratings. You like to talk about ratings on TV. Oh, this is good. Oh, There's only one person that you should trust when it comes to ratings news in regards to wrestling. There's only one guy that you need to follow. It is Brandon. Anything that has to do with the business of pro wrestling, Brandon's your guy. WrestleNomics. Follow them on Twitter, or even better, become a Patreon of WrestleNomics. You get all sorts of great stuff, exclusive live stream, and tell them MrWarrenHayes sent you. Back to the lawsuit. The Tubi part here. Allegedly, MLW and Tubi agreed to a distribution deal in July, in 2021, not earlier this year, in 2021. And MLW was set to debut, on the platform on September 11. The parties said that they were planning to announce the deal, or at least the suit said that the parties were planning to announce the deal on August 10, but sometime around August 9, this is what the suit alleges, WWE's chief brand officer Stephanie McMahon allegedly met with Tubi executives, and the suit implies that MLW content was scheduled for a Tuesday nighttime slot on Tubi, which would have meant it would have been going head-to-head with WWE's NXT program on the USA Network, right? Which was still which was on Tuesday nights at that point. WWE apparently, saw MLW as a competitor, and since Tubi is a Fox-owned property, they saw this as a conflict of interest because Fox airs SmackDown, which is WWE's most watched program. Allegedly, Stephanie McMahon pressured Tubi and other Fox executives to not allow MLW to air in direct competition to NXT. Ultimately, though, Stephanie is said to have pushed Tubi to end the deal with MLW altogether. Now, this is a part of the lawsuit. Like, I'm the lawyer, right? I'm just reading through the things, right? We're just chit-chatting here. We're having a good time. I am in no way, shape, or form any type of legal expert in anything, okay? Anything at all. But I do find it strange that WWE would feel threatened by a streaming service, right? Tubi, which basically airs stuff like on an ad-supported free streaming service, where, as opposed to a cable network, which is linear content, right? As opposed to a streaming service. Like that one, I don't understand. That part, I'm not quite sure. Or, either maybe WWE didn't understand what Tubi was, but that again doesn't make sense. If there's one thing that I can give absolute immediate credit to WWE is that they know their competition. They know who's out there, right? They like to say, "Oh, our competition is Marvel." They know other stuff, right? So I don't know about that part. I don't know how true that is. At least, the allegations of Stephanie McMahon saying, well, they're going to be competing with our thing, which is something that you already air, Foxnet. I don't know. They're fishy to me. Let's move over to Vice. This is where things get really juicy, if you ask me. WWE CEO Vince McMahon was allegedly behind interference in MLW's relationship with Vice. When WWE heard about the business relationship between MLW and Vice, which had started in May, earlier that year, 2021, Susan Levison, who was the head of WWE Studios at that time, she's no longer with the company, she's said to have contacted a Vice executive saying that Vince was, and this is the quote that comes from the filing, saying that Vince was, quote unquote, pissed about Vice putting MLW content on the network. The complaint states, and I quote, Levison warned a Vice executive to stop airing MLW programs. Brandon Thurston points out here that replays of MLW's weekly program Fusion aired on Vice for several weeks in May, and MLW's 1-hour Fightland special later aired on the network on October 7. Now, the Vice executive allegedly told Levison, and again, this is a quote from the filings, "I think that this is illegal what you're doing." And that WWE's action might violate antitrust laws. And Levison allegedly responded that she could not control Vince McMahon. That's an understatement. No one can. So Levison left WWE in late May when dozens of employees were laid off at the studios. This is Brandon Thurston who's adding these footnotes here. Once the studios and advanced media group and television departments were all consolidated under executive producer Kevin Dunn. Now, here's another interesting part that I learned through this. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. WWE's relationship with A&E, not AEW, excuse me, but A&E is pointed as a source of Vince's leverage over Vice. A&E owns a 20% stake in Vice Networks. And this is all according to the complaint, a majority of Vice's production operations, right? Now, you will recall that Dark Side of the Ring airs on Vice, but started airing in 2019. Then in 2021, A&E, see, that's the thing. I've got wrestling brain. I see A&E and all I can think about is AEW. It's the same thing with A and W. Anyway, coming back here. WWE and A&E partnered last year in 2021, remember, to put out their own documentaries on wrestlers, right? And there's no question as to why WWE did that, because you have Dark Side of the Ring on one side telling all these, true to form, well-researched stories. WWE's like, no, WWE likes to be in control of its narrative from top to bottom. So there you go. So they end up here. So I can't help but wonder. This is what I find really, really, and this is just me speculating, just thinking, I can't help but wonder if these A&E shows were created with WWE as WWE was trying to put pressure on A&E to try and put pressure on Vice to not do Dark Side of the Ring anymore. But Vice and AEW and A&E, Jesus, Vice and A&E, they're not dummies. Dark Side of the Ring is one of the highest rated shows they have. So they're like, well, we're not going to put the kibosh on a ratings grab for us on a show that's actually getting viewers in, Vince. What if we do this instead? And that's just pure speculation, but I kind of feel that, this type of information sort of goes in hand here. The filing states that WWE's interference resulted in Vice withdrawing from negotiations over airing new MLW content. and in Vice airing only a single MLW program, which a lot of people did find weird, that they did the Fightland thing and there was nothing, right? As for the Fight stuff, apparently Fight approached MLW about a deal to distribute live events, but later abandoned negotiations. MLW points out that WWE's then Senior Vice President of Strategy and Operations, Greg Bernard, was also working as an executive advisor of corporate development for Fight. That, as well as Fight's previous distribution of WWE content, further illustrates WWE's dominance. This is the filing that says this, quote, further illustrates WWE's dominance and unfair competition in the market, unquote. That one seems a little more, I think it's a little more of a stretch. I don't know why MLW's not on Fight. I really don't. I don't know why they don't do the monthly papes on Fight. I honestly don't. Maybe this is a reason. Maybe there's something else, you know? Cord Bauer had this statement in the press release that was put out. Quote, WWE has been wrongfully depriving its competitors of critical opportunities for many years, but its latest conduct has been even more unconscionable. I think we speak for the rest of the professional wrestling world when we say that this anti-competitive behavior has to stop. In the meantime, WWE reacted, commented officially on these allegations, saying, quote, WWE believes these claims have no merit and intends to vigorously defend itself against them, unquote. That's all they really need to say. They just have to, that's basically par for the course here. Now, I know a lot of people are like rubbing their hands together and they're going, yes, yes, yes. Take him down, MLW. Go for it. The little guy. And I was like, do it. Take down Goliath. And, you know, it's a good story. It's a good babyface story that you're telling here. You know, the evil corporate machine that has a well-documented history of fucking around with its competition and outlets and counter-programming and screwing around with arenas and putting pressure on venues to not book any other wrestling shows. There's a long documented history of WWE doing this, so none of this surprises me. There's nothing here where I'm like, oh. No, this is par for the course. This is just something that they've always done. So, as far as whether the allegations are true or not, that's not for us to. Hopefully, eventually, we'll get a proper result from all of this, and then we'll be able to go, oh yeah, okay. But as it stands, like, I have no trouble believing that these allegations are true. Are they true? Maybe, maybe not, but I don't have any problems believing that that this is what's happening. Thing here is that MLW doesn't exactly have the greatest reputation as a wrestling promotion either. Multiple allegations from multiple wrestlers about being stiffed on pay, not great working conditions. I don't know. This is the kind of situation where I feel like if MLW wins the case, it's a lesser than two evils type of situation. That's what I think it is. That's what I think is going to happen. But what I think is going to happen, this is what I believe is going to happen. This is going to be settled out of court. Going to have a settlement behind doors. They're going to agree on an unspecified amount of cash. WWE is going to deliver that to MLW. Everything's going to be dropped. MLW is going to pocket X amount of millions of dollars. WWE is going to continue doing what it does, well, not what it does best. Well, I mean, hey, you know what? These days, screwing around with your competition is pretty much what they do best. There's not much else they're great at these days. But my point is that WWE is going to continue doing what they're doing, what they've been doing since the 1980s, since Vince Jr. took over. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think we're going to get a resolution here. I don't think MLW is going to pursue this in court. I think they're looking for a payout. I think they're looking for a payout. It's going to be charges are going to be dropped. Well, not charges, but the filing is going to be dropped. This isn't going to go far. I'm convinced it won't. It's going to be interesting to see. Because the thing here, the only thing that I can possibly flip on its head here is that if WWE really is in the mood to flex its muscle, it could squish MLW out of existence by just digging up a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm pretty sure that there are tons of witnesses, tons of people that could be called up as witnesses out there and have stories about court and MLW. Just stuff that would just tank the company. Convinced. Which is another reason that I think it's just going to it's going to be settled outside of court. There we go. Let's move on. I don't know if you heard. There's a little bit of news that happened last Friday. I don't know if you heard. Mickie James, current Impact Knockouts champion, is going to be in the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble. She was announced on Friday that was going to happen, and everyone lost their damn minds. Everyone just went kabloosh. What is going on? And I think that's pretty cool. Here's a couple of things here. Okay, let's start by running down who is in the 2022 Royal Rumble. All right. Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash, or Nikki, whatever she's going to be called. Hopefully back to Nikki Cross. Anyway, Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash, Dana Brooke, 24/7 champion, Carmella, Queen Zelina Vega, the current women's tag team champions, Tamina, Shotzi, Natalya, Aaliyah, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Lita, that's right, Hall of Famers, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Summer Rae, they're listed as free agents, and I can't. I think that's hilarious. Michelle McCool, Kelly, Summer Rae, and Mickie James. 19 women announced so far for the Royal Rumble. Where do we start? All right, well, I see in the chat we're talking about Forbidden Door, right? This is a one-off thing, and I know people got really excited at the idea of WWE and Impact doing the cross promotion thing, right? It's like, but it's not. It's not a thing. It's not a thing that's going to happen. It's a one-off. I'm convinced. I don't have any inside sources. Again, I'm just going with my gut. This is a one-time thing where WWE is like, yeah, we'll bring over Mickie James because we know her so well, and she'll do the thing. I will agree that it is shocking because in WWE's worldview, there is no other wrestling outside of what they do, right? So to have her come in and to acknowledge her as Impact Knockouts champion is a huge deal. It's a tremendously huge deal. We cannot underscore that enough. But I frankly, I don't think this is opening up any doors. I don't, forbidden or not. I think maybe some WWE people might want to try and play it that way. But let me ask you folks, I'm somewhat familiar with, I'm going to talk about the Impact pay-per-view. It was a very, very good show. I'm familiar with the roster. Who would you like to see show up in WWE and to fight whom? I think it's fairly limited. Plus, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in Impact who are former WWE talent. Why would they want to go back? And here's the question, right? Here's the big question that a lot of people had on their minds. It's like, why is Mickie going back after such an unceremonious departure, right? Something that, we all know the story of the trash bag at this point. She took pictures and she talked about it on podcast. She ragged about how, no one would listen to her backstage. Like she went out there, I wouldn't say bury the company, but she didn't portray it in a very, very positive light. She went over and she was like, nah, I'm going to go to NWA and I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do my own show. And she did, and was a big success. She basically putting her money where her mouth is, just saying, I don't need WWE. So why the hell is she going back to WWE? Well, I cannot blame anyone for wanting to go and get a paycheck from the Fed. I can't. That billion-dollar company firing people right and left for budget cuts. If you want to go, it's like I tweeted. I hope to hell, I really, really hope that when I don't know, Johnny Ace called her and said, hey, Mickie, how you doing? Would you like to come and be a part of the Royal Rumble? I hope to hell that she laid down the most ridiculous price and that they said yes on it. I hope she milked them. Because yes, her departure was ridiculous. The way she was treated on the last leg of her run was ridiculous. I hope she's getting a huge payday. Now, I think it's fair to question, I think it's fair to also have the thought of, Mickie, we were supportive of you. We backed you up. We were like, damn you, WWE. Why are you going back? Why? We supported your decision to leave, to pack up and go away as fans. And there are true to form Mickie James fan. I think it's fair for some people to feel a little sideswiped, a little hurt, depending on your level of fandom. But why would you go back to a place that completely mistreated you, right? Like Deanna Purrazzo this week, right? There was a guy who tweeted out to her, and she quote tweeted it, responded it. The person offhandedly asked, what about your spot in the Royal Rumble or something? Would you go back for WWE for a spot in the Royal Rumble 2022? And she quote tweeted with a simple response. She just said, nah. And I can respect that. I respect that tremendously. Why would she go back to a place that absolutely not just mistreated her, had no faith in her, had absolutely no faith in her? And I think this is a detail that WWE, that maybe a lot of fans are forgetting, setting aside, or just Mickie had a career in WWE before the trash bag situation, right? Yes, as a legend in the business, she should have been better treated on her departure than what she did. She shouldn't have been just tossed aside. I think there's value in Mickie James. Absolutely. But Deanna, as opposed to Mickie, Deanna has nothing to latch on to WWE. They hoarded her. It's not even a question of creatives got nothing for you. They did shit with her. They did nothing with her. Even the moments where they were like, "Oh, we're gonna put you in a tag team with your best friend," that didn't even work out. Didn't have faith in her. She left because she was in the prime of her career, and she says, "I am wasting it, waiting for these jerks to get their thumbs out of their ass and do something with me." Why would she go back? Mickie is more understandable. She had a long career with WWE. Throughout the 2000s, she was there. Yes, she left as well, but she did have many good years with WWE, and I'm sure that she's very grateful for those as well. She has a history. It's different than Deanna. Those are apples to oranges, right? And, and I had people ask me saying, well, wouldn't Deanna benefit from the exposure of being in the Royal Rumble? I'm like, what exposure? What? Because ultimately, I have no faith that WWE would put her in a position on the Royal Rumble card where she would be Deanna Purrazzo. You know what I mean? As opposed to just like being tossed out 2 seconds later like she's Michelle McCool. Which is probably, maybe not Michelle McCool, maybe Kelly, because Michelle McCool's the Undertaker's wife. They're probably going to just be a little more careful. But you know what I mean? I'm being stupid. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that Deanna already WWE didn't have any faith in Deanna Purrazzo. Why would they bring her back in the first place? And if they did, why would she believe that they would do something in her best interest? Whereas Mickie can be, look, she's going in as champ, as a former WWE legend. Sure, let's do it. And the paycheck. But here's the thing. Where are the surprises? There's no, in the chat, please tell me, aren't surprises at the Royal Rumble fun? Isn't that like part of the fun of the Royal Rumble is like, who's going to come out next, right? Why are they announcing everyone all the time now? And I'll tell you, it makes even less sense. It makes even less sense to have WWE, it makes even less sense for WWE to pre-announce people on the Royal Rumble card now that they're on Peacock, or even when they were on the network, when you don't have to sell your pay-per-view or your premium live event, If anything, there was an argument when they were doing strict pay-per-views, right? Back in the day, where you were like, well, they don't want to, if they have really good surprises that could draw in some people, draw in some buys, they'll let the folks know beforehand. And that's absolutely fair. I can get behind that. But now that they're on Peacock, that no one has to pay for the pay-per-views anymore, fuck off. They don't have to they can save all the surprises. They can save the surprises because they already have everyone's money. They already have everyone's money. I don't think, God bless Mickie James. I love her. She's sweet as hell. But I don't think she's going to generate all that much new business for Peacock. I think the idea here is to get the base excited, and the base is already excited, and the base already has Peacock and the WWE Network, or the WWE award-winning Peacock, right? That's my point here, is that Mickie, any surprise, they could have saved that for the evening of, and just would have been like, Michelle McCool and all that. They can just be surprises. But then also I understand, it's like everyone's going, well, you fired all your women and you're not going to use anyone from NXT. You need to fill up 30 slots here. There's 30 bodies you have to put into this match. So of course, yeah, don't worry, we've got this 30. And now there's rumors going around that Melina and Cameron might be back as well. I mean, these are all former stars that don't do it for me. And I get that they excite a part of wrestling fandom tremendously, and that's awesome. But they do nothing for me. I think we are fortunate. And I'm not diminishing the accomplishments or the door breaking of women like Melina and Lita and Trish and the Bellas and so on and so forth. I am not diminishing anyone's accomplishments on that level, but we are lucky to be in a period right now where the work rate for women's wrestling in North America has never been this good. It has never been this excellent. And this we owe to women like Sasha Banks and Bayley, who decided one day on WWE television, NXT, sure, but still a WWE produced show to show, you know what? We can go, and we can go just like the dudes. And that has been a catalyst here. So when I see Cameron coming back, like I said, I am excited that there are people who are excited for Cameron to make a return. But ultimately I shrug and I'm like, she's getting some flowers and good for her. But it's not something that gets me excited. It really doesn't. And I fear for the Women's Royal Rumble this year. I really honestly do. I want to say hello to Joe Poulin Jr. Nice to see you. We've got the Bob Culture Podcast. Nice to see you, Bob. Breaking news, Kristen Ashley letting us know in the chat here that Deonna Purrazzo has won the Ring of Honor Championship off of Roxy tonight at the Impact show. Big deal. Deonna Dos Belts is indeed back. That's fantastic. It's good stuff. That Kristen and I were chatting about this before I started the show, and it was like there's no way they're letting Roxy, 19-year-old Roxy, like fresh out the gate, head on over to Mexico to wrestle in AAA. Like, no, there's just like no. Anyway, congratulations, Deonna. Good on you. Ring of Honor. Reina de Reinas. Fantastic stuff. Good for you. Anakin JMT is also here. Nice to see you, Anakin. Left us a couple of super chats. Thank you, Anakin. Let's read through them. First of all, first super chat. Why does Johnny Ace sound like he's sleeping? Oh, well, because you see Johnny Ace, he's a very chill guy. He also, he likes to point out Vince's physique, likes to say, wow, hi Vince, you look fantastic. My God, you look so buff today. Here, have some baby oil. Wait, let me put it on you. Anakin JMT's second super chat reads like this. They did surprises even before the network. Cena's return got one of the biggest pops MSG ever heard. No, thank you very much for the super chat. And I don't disagree. I know they've done surprises before. The point I was making is you could probably argue that it was better to announce surprises to get people to buy the show back when you needed people to buy the show. Whereas nowadays, and I'm not saying that's what they should do. I'm saying there's an argument for that. Whereas nowadays, there's no reason to pre-announce surprises on Peacock because everyone is going to be watching because WWE already has your money. That's my point. There we go. And since we were on the topic of Impact Wrestling and Deonna Purrazzo, let's talk about Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill, which has been universally, I have not seen anyone that I like pan this show. I think it's been universally regarded as one of, if not Impact Wrestling's best overall pay-per-view. I would say, and I think a lot of people feel the same way, that it's probably the best first half that they've ever put on. Like the first 90 minutes of this show was absolutely, it just grew and grew and grew and just got better and better and was fantastic. Then I'd say that the last couple of matches things started to drop off, but let's talk about it a little bit. First of all, I want to say hi to Dan Reed of Pro Wrestling Eve. Nice to see you, man. Welcome to the chat. The opening match was the first ever Women's Ultimate X match, where Tasha Steelz defeated the crew, Alicia Edwards, Chelsea Green, Jordynne Grace, Lady Frost, and Rosemary, to become the very first Ultimate X winner. Fun little opener. Very, very high risk. It was a spot match. You tuned in to watch this, to watch some spots. That's what you got. You got Chelsea Green and Alicia climbing the truss, the structures to dive onto people below on either side. You had Lady Frost do her moonsault from the same trusses as well. I think my only problem with this match was production, because they were using the hard cam a lot, like the wide shot, as opposed to just like letting the ground cameras pick up the really cool spots. But I don't know, like production was a little off. But otherwise, it was a lot of fun. Rosemary speared Alicia Edwards off the cable. There was this fun moment where you also had Jordynne Grace suspended on, trying to cross the cables, and Lady Frost sort of jumps onto her and she's holding on to Jordynne. So Jordynne Grace is holding on to the cables, holding on, supporting her own weight. Then you've got Lady Frost like on her like a koala bear. That was fantastic stuff. It was, you're like, Jordynne is so friggin' strong. But yeah, ultimately it's Tasha Steelz, that gets the dubs on this one. Fun opener dynamic, lots of spots. It was the spot show. Good stuff to kick things off. Then we had an X Division match, X Division title match. Champion Trey Miguel successfully defended against Steve Macklin. Look, if there's anything that this match did, because this was a very, very strong, good wrestling match. And if it did anything, it was establishing Steve Macklin as a real deal in Impact. Just fantastic stuff. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. I really, really liked it. And he came across as incredibly strong and in his element. Trey's fantastic. Trey Miguel is as well another excellent wrestler. But Macklin, man, I feel like his move to Impact was one of those that was extremely beneficial for him, because he really does come across as a big deal. I loved it. I thought this was an extremely good match for something where I was coming in sort of like haphazardly. I was like, Macklin's stock is elevated. Something fierce. This was really, really good. Then we got that match that I think everyone talked about. Ring of Honor World Title. Pure Rules. Jonathan Gresham successfully defended his title against Chris Sabin. Just some great back and forth stuff with the Pure Rules in full effect, with the rope breaks, and just great, fantastic grappling. Brilliantly used. Just some smart stuff all around from both guys. And that finishing sequence, like if you have not sought it out yet, if you haven't seen this match yet, that ending sequence to that match, just absolutely remarkable. Solid. Two guys who know what they're doing. And you know what? I look at this and it makes me even more excited for Gresham's Terminus show, which is coming up this weekend. I'm really excited for. It's just it's such a highlight to have had this match on an Impact Wrestling card. Everyone's talking about WWE the Forbidden Door. Look at this. You got the best of Ring of Honor with the best of Impact. And it's crazy how Chris Sabin is still so good at it. After all these years, he's still so good at wrestling. Don't sleep on this match, folks. And don't sleep on Josh Alexander versus Jonah, the former Bronson Reed, Jonah Rock. Hot damn. Like, Josh Alexander has been excellent for a long time, right? Since Ethan Page left for AEW and they split up the North, he's been getting more and more singles attention, and there's been a lot of people out there, myself included, maybe not as much as some others because I don't get to watch Impact all that much, but when I see him out on the indies and so on, Josh Alexander, man, 2022 has to be a big year for him. They fumbled it last year with the stupid ass pay-per-view that ended with him winning the championship but then dropping it immediately to fucking Moose, right? Now he's on the mid-card again, but what a fantastic match against Jonah. Because it was a fight from underneath for Josh Alexander here. Just some heavy striking all the way. There's this fantastic spot where they're fighting on the floor. Josh Alexander gets Jonah over the barricade and into the audience, right? Alexander goes back into the ring, goes to the top rope, and he dives onto Jonah from the top rope, over the floor, over the barricade, right onto him. Just fantastic stuff. Just fantastic stuff. Over the guardrail. There's a brainbuster by Jonah. He misses a moonsault. Alexander hits a German suplex and a powerbomb. Just great stuff. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. And if this isn't the year for Josh Alexander, Impact is booking him poorly, and he needs to get the hell out of there because he is way too talented. He is too good of a professional wrestler to be skulking around and not being at the top of your company because Moose. Because somehow, somewhere, Scott D'Amore thinks Moose equals ratings, or I don't understand it. Then this is where things start to dip a little bit. We got the call it anything but a lethal lockdown match between Eddie Edwards, Heath, Rhino, Rich Swann, and Willie Mack versus the Good Brothers, Violent by Design, and Violent, which is Diener, Eric Young, and Joe Doring. And it was a fun plunder match, don't get me wrong. But I mean, nothing that you go, oh wow, this is just amazing. And essentially it was all under lethal lockdown / war games rules, where you have people coming in, every 2 minutes or so, 2 or 3 minutes, and the match doesn't officially start until everyone's in the ring, kind of thing. But they didn't have the cage. They had everything except the cage. After the match, though, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, Maria Kanellis, PCO, and Vincent, all from Ring of Honor, come in to beat the hell out of the Impact people. Just leave them for dead. I'm sure they had some storyline advancement in that regard tonight on Impact. But I'll check later, because right now I'm doing a live show right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Subscribe. Then we had the triple threat match for the Impact World title. Moose, the champion, successfully defeated Matt Cardona and W. Morrissey. I have no notes for this match, so I'm just going to go to the main event. which was for the Impact Knockouts title in a Texas death match. Mickie James successfully retained her title against Deonna Purrazzo, where I thought Deonna was going to win it back. I was convinced that, because I was like, no way is Mickie carrying the strap to the Royal Rumble, but apparently it's going to happen. I was completely swerved. Good for that. Good on me. Good on me for getting swerved. This was fine. I think it was a little slow. There was some awkwardness, but not a bad match in and about itself. Definitely not a bad match, but this really was the tale of two shows, where you had the undercard, which was absolutely ruling this match, this pay-per-view, and then the upper echelons was sort of like, it's not quite connecting as much. It's not quite that fun plunder match. I mean, it was a Texas death match, if you weren't familiar with the concept, because they leaned into it. It was fine. But look, if anyone tells you, hey, do you want to rewatch Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill with me? It's like, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead and watch it. It is a good show. It is a very, very good professional wrestling premium live event. Last Friday was the big anticipated New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah crossover show, basically night 3 of Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not going to break down the entire card because I already did that. I had a post show on Saturday morning, early in the morning, alongside Kevin McElvaney of editor-in-chief of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. We broke down the entire card. So if you want to hear my full, unedited, unabridged, flowery thoughts on the event, please go check it out. I do want to mention a few things though, because I thought just that, I guess like some overall thoughts, because I thought it was an okay show, lots of random stuff, but I when I was looking at the composition of the card when they started announcing the matches, I'm like, this sucks because we're getting cheated out of some singles matches that we should be getting, but we're not getting. We're doing all these tag team things, but then when you watch the show, which by the way had such a high point with the LIJ Congo faction match, the 10-man tag, that was such a riot. It was such a fun match. Good stuff all around. All throughout the evening, they're doing teases. Y'all watch New Japan. Well, maybe not y'all, but you watch New Japan and you see, it's like at the end, like of a tag team or a multi-man match, you'll have two guys, one in the ring and one on the outside, and they'll be jaw-jacking each other and the camera will be on both of them. And it's like, oh, we got some. That's how feuds start. We got tons of those. Ishii and Nomura. Tommy Ishii and Inamura. Inamura is like, he's a big dude. He's like another Ishii over there in Noah. They were in a tag team match, and after the match, they just couldn't shut up about each other. I'm like, ooh. Sho and Katoge is also fantastic. Two juniors, fantastic. El Desperado and Yohei. Yohei was just all up in Despi's face, and Despi was like, just great stuff. Keno and Naito. Keno was so aggressive and pissed off at Naito, and it was just great stuff. Shingo and Nakajima. They sort of, you wanna, just absolutely fantastic stuff. And you know what ultimately this show did for me is get me excited for Japanese wrestling in 2022, particularly in New Japan. I've started watching Noah more, and I think it's great. I'm excited to to dive deeper and deeper into it so that we can all chat about it. I can talk about it with as much confidence as I can talk New Japan, right? So, but just give me some time. I'm not gonna come out here and be a big pretender and make sure and pretend that I know all the ins and outs, because I don't. But I've started. But I think one of the things that is very, very beneficial, especially for New Japan, if the teases indicate that Noah and New Japan are going to be working more with each other throughout the year, I think it is crucial for New Japan for that to happen, because the roster has been thinned out so hard with all the gaijin, or most of the gaijin, all in North America, a whole bunch of people not coming in. There's usually talent exchanges coming in from, because of COVID, of course. Everything's shut down. The matches in New Japan don't feel fresh, and they haven't felt fresh for a while. You get Shingo and Nakajima in a stare down, and you're like, let's fucking go. This is the kind of stuff that, because they're just fresh. Matches you haven't seen before. And I really think New Japan needs that. Again, it's like I talked about, in regards to the end of Wrestle Kingdom. I have no problems with New Japan, especially in its 50th year anniversary, to fall back to the old standards and go, well, we're putting the big strap on Okada, a secondary title on Tanahashi, and Naito up there, challenging for the world title. Like, I have no problem with New Japan going to the safe standards, but these are all matches we've seen before, and in certain circumstances we've seen them multiple times. I had a good chat with a pal recently when we were talking about Okada and Tanahashi. I dig Okada and Tanahashi anytime they get into a ring together, because it's always magic, because of the history, because of everything they represent for New Japan. But his argument was like, what more can Okada and Tanahashi tell as a story in 2022 that hasn't been told before? And he's not wrong. And this is why I feel something like more crossover events where we do get the singles matches, I think that's really, really interesting. I think it could be a lot of fun. And it's going to freshen up the card. It's going to make things feel different. It's going to get people excited about New Japan again. Because, brother, I didn't see a lot, sister, and, everyone in between, I didn't see many people covering Wrestle Kingdom this year. And I don't blame them. I don't blame anyone for going, you know what, I'm skipping it. I can't blame anyone. But I'm excited at the prospect of what might be in store in Japan, their top two male promotions. I'm excited to see what that might entail. I think there's a lot of good. This match, this card felt like this was the prequel to other bigger things, and I'm all for it. And look, we know that the wrestling promotions in Japan, they do talk to each other. They do work together. They work together, on COVID regulations to be able to run shows. They have contacts within the government. If your business is impacted so hard as Japanese wrestling is today, wouldn't you want to turn to your other contemporaries and be like, look, we're not filling out shows. We're not doing full capacity. There's got to be a way for us to work together and make money, because ultimately that's what it is. I'm telling you guys, I'm convinced that financially, New Japan 2021 is going to be a rotten year. It's going to be terrible for them. And that's not even a stretch. This isn't some fantastic analysis. You just had, if you followed whatever was going on in the business this year in Japan, like, of course it had to tank. I want to say hello to Diego Rafael Solis Rivera, who arrives just in time to start talking about AEW. That's what we're going with to wrap up the show here. Let's go back. Okay. My overall analysis over the past week from Rampage, because my show's on Thursdays, right? From Rampage last Friday to Dynamite last night, a very middling week for the boys in Jacksonville. I don't think this was their best foot forward on any show. Let's talk about it. AEW Rampage last Friday, Adam Cole defeated Jake Atlas. This is off to a great start with Atlas and Cole's countering out of each other's moves. I thought it was great. Atlas had some really fantastic strikes here as well. This was fine. But Atlas hurts himself jumping off the ropes. We had heard the reports. And when you see the injury happen, you're like, shit, that sucks. And he was really in pain. Couldn't pull off the Panama Sunrise, which was clearly slated to be the finisher. So Cole gets a knee bar in to tap him out. After the match, the best friends come in to chase off. It was fine. Hook defeated Aaron Solo. This is the note that I wrote here in my book. Wait. Here we go. This is the note that I wrote. It rhymes. Taz plexes everywhere. Can't go wrong with that. So Hook still doing Hook things when he's not at the Gentleman's Club. or is going to the Gentleman's Club now, part of Hook things. Where's the thing? Where's the thing? No. Okay, here we go. See, this is on me for wanting to go back to a standard notepad, a notebook, to take my notes during shows, right? Now I'm like, I can't find my shit because I can't do, Control F. Riho and Ruby Soho defeated Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in a tag team match. This was all right, but I thought it was a weird, awkward match. Like, it was okay. Nothing to write home about. Babyfaces win. I don't know. Just a weird one. And the main event, which I thought was a lot of fun. The Inner Circle and Eddie Kingston. The Inner Circle being Santana and Ortiz. And Eddie Kingston defeated 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. I thought this was a lot of fun. I like how fast and furious this match got. Straight out the gate. Everyone was fighting in pairs. Everywhere around the ring. Got some good old-fashioned ECW arena vibes where the camera guys are trying to keep up and there's just too much action going on everywhere. I liked it. We get the plunder early on. We get stereo suplexes on each side of the ring. Get Kingston with an exploder on Garcia. Garcia getting the ring bell and using it on Kingston. You know what? I miss the ring bell as a good old-fashioned prop to knock people out. I missed it. But I think guys today have to find a way to use it so that you get the ding every time, because you don't get it every time because they're being very safe with it. But there's got to be a way for when you use the bell to get the ding on impact, because that's what makes using the ring bell interesting. Santana and Ortiz do these great double team moves on Parker of 2.0 to set up the win via discus lariat. Then the heels take over the baby faces again, and then Chris Jericho runs in. Now, there was also a segment on Dynamite as well with Chris Jericho and 2.0 and Garcia and Eddie Kingston. And I'm this Chris Jericho Eddie Kingston thing that they're developing, it's not working. It's not clicking. It feels forced. And you know what? I think I feel like Chris Jericho's out of his depth. I think he doesn't know how to deal with Eddie Kingston because Eddie Kingston is so natural at what he does. And Jericho, he's a performer. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not trying to say, but he's a performer. He likes to put things like He likes his lines. I'm going to throw it to this. I'm going to throw it to this. I'm going to call him a blockhead. I'm going to call him a pinhead. I'm going to call him a squarehead. Terrence and Phillip, you know? Whereas Eddie Kingston just comes in and he's like, he's off script and he's not following a script, right? He's not following lines, and you can feel at some moments Jericho is just out of his depth. Because Kingston is just, he's too real for Chris Jericho, the performer, who likes to come out and you know, get, you know, have the opportunity to say some silly quips. And paired with guys like Santana, you know, what they're doing with Santana and Ortiz now, it's still not quite working. You know? Because again, these are two guys who feel very, very real. You saw on Dynamite last night that they're trying to set some seeds here where Eddie Kingston is like, trying to say, what are you two dopes hanging around with this guy for? You guys are fantastic, so on and so forth. We have a history, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's really cool. I think I can get behind that. But holy shit. I don't know, man. There's something in this feud that is not clicking. It's not working. And at the same time, it's always the same thing week after week. It's the same thing week after week that, you know, you're not quite sure what the alliances are. You're not quite sure. And Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho both positioned as baby faces right now. Who's the audience supposed to cheer for? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's not translating well. I don't think this feud is compelling. I think this feud is confusing. I think the Garcia 2.0 elements with Santana and Ortiz and all that, there needs to be a little more focus because I think everything is very diffused. And I don't know, man. Chris Jericho, Eddie Kingston, I don't think it's as much of a slam dunk as maybe talking about the idea might seem like. You know what I mean? Anyway, very middling AEW Rampage. Want to talk about more middling stuff? AEW Battle of the Belts. Now, this show was a cursed show. This is like straight off the gate, this is a cursed show. 1 hour belts, you're like, what's going on? It turns off a lot of people. Then Cody, was it allegedly or was it confirmed? He got COVID. Anyway, he couldn't make it for the show, not medically cleared. This was a shoot. So instead of having a TNT title match, they're having a TNT interim title match. Then and then here's the thing. And I know there's going to be some people who are going to hate me for this. Like, I know there's going to be, Hayes. But here, look, legitimate though, okay? You're doing a show called Battle of the Belts. You're a company that wears its old school WCW/NWA references on its sleeve, right? You're doing a show called Battle of the Belts, which is clearly a throwback to Clash of the Champions. What are we supposed to expect as wrestling fans? We're supposed to expect all titles being defended. I think it is a fair expectation, especially when on your promo material you've got all your title holders there. Now, I understand for some reason your show is transformed into an hour show. But when I remember Tony Khan hyping the TNT specials, right? On Saturday nights, just like in the good old days, you know, it's giving me vibes of Saturday Night Main Event when it had preempt Saturday Night Live on NBC. And I'm like, God damn, this is great. They weren't 1 hour shows, you know? So I understand that Tony never committed to saying this is a 2 hour show. But the expectation as a fan is there. You get what I'm saying, right? I'm not shitting on anyone saying, you carnied us, that's not it. What I am saying is the fans' expectations were there. So to go from a card where you're like, the titles are being defended and you're buying a ticket before the card is announced, which technically you shouldn't do, but you're saying to yourself, battle of the belts, Hangman Page is going to be there, but Hangman Page wasn't there. Hell, the TNT champion wasn't even there. You get an interim title, you get the women's world title, which is fantastic and cool. Don't get the tag teams. Hell, you get an FTW championship title defense, a title which in kayfabe is not even recognized by AEW. Ricky Starks is not up in the champions section of the AEW roster on AEWwrestling.com or whatever the URL is. I can never remember. Is it AE Wrestling or AEW Wrestling? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. He's not there as a champion because the FTW title is not a recognized title. So why are you throwing this on your card? Anyway, Cody getting tossed out of that must have been a dagger to the heart. You're like, oh shit, we tried so hard to put this show together and keep it afloat. And there's rumors that TNT slashed it from 2 hours to 1. Look, I don't know, but this is the end result that we ended up with. We ended up with a show that had very little hype to it, that had 2 matches on it that had no heat, on a special evening that was supposed to mark the debut of an era of supercards on Saturday nights, 4 per year, and we're supposed to get excited about it. It's like, so I can absolutely understand people getting into the show or setting up and go, I don't know I don't care about this show anymore. And I can absolutely get behind that because the expectations were something else. I can't even say anyone was carnied here. I not in good faith. I don't think anyone can say, because too many factors. But to go from Battle of the Belts to Battle of some of the belts, that's a bit of a disappointment. But I do want to say hello to Pluggo and El Gato Pollo Loco. Welcome to both of you to the chat. And I did not watch it live on the Saturday because I was watching Hard to Kill. But I DVR'd it and I was like, I'll watch it later. And, as as the show happened and I was watching the next day on Twitter and people going, oh, Sammy Guevara, Dustin Rhodes was so good. It's like, wow, okay, cool. Cool, because I like Dustin. I think Dustin he's a freak in nature. At his, we like to talk about Sting and so on and so forth, but Dustin at his age, what he does is nuts. Sammy's great. I'm like, but it turns out that this was very okay. It was a fine match. It was if this is a fun match, you guys, that's what it was. But I think this was extremely overrated by a lot of my peers and colleagues and buddies and pals and friends. It was fine. Nothing wrong with it, but okay. I mean, there's some great stuff, like I said, from Dustin and Sammy. Sammy, double springboard somersault senton. The code red by Dustin, which he does practically every time now, but it's fine. Dustin kicks out of a GTH. For some reason, Fuego del Sol is under the ring? Did I miss? I don't watch the vlogs. So did I miss something? Is Fuego living under an AEW ring now? Is that his new thing? Dustin hits a destroyer off the apron through the table that was on the floor that Fuego set up. Fantastic shit. Spot of the night. That's the things, like Dustin Rhodes doing destroyers off the apron. That's nuts, man.
Oh, yeah.
He gets Sammy back into the ring. 2 crossroads, a Tiger Driver 98. Can't put Sammy away. Or he attempts the Tiger Driver 98, but Sammy rolls out of the way. Sammy reverses, is what I'm trying to say. And they go into some back and forth pin attempts, and finally Sammy gets him. I mean, it's all right. And then Sammy becomes the interim champion. And then he defends the interim championship on Dynamite last night, only to be announced that Cody Rhodes is going to be back next week. So I'm like, if Cody's gone for 2 weeks, why did we need an interim champion? I can't be the only one who sees the absolute level of ridiculousness in this, right? Cody's gone for a month, 2 months, 180 days. All right. A 2-week interim title? God, come on, hit the bricks. I know, again, I understand why they did it, because they didn't have the TNT title. They wanted a match with stakes, something to brandish a title. Let's do an interim. I get it, but it's still, in the outcome of it, it's weird. And I'm sure Cody on Dynamite is going to address it. And everyone's going to be like, I see, Cody talked about it, it's fine. But no, it's still weird. You got some super chats. Anakin JMT, first and foremost. Thank you again, Anakin. I appreciate it. Super chat is when I was talking about the feud between Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, and I was saying, confused, who do you cheer for? Anakin says, I'm not confused. I'm not cheering Jericho over Eddie, that's for damn sure. I kind of on your side on that one. Eddie Kingston can do no wrong in my book. DGMC left a super chat. Thank you very much. DGMC says, champ versus champ matches plus TNT title match sounded cool. Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun. That would have been a lot of fun. But hey, we got what we got. But Jonas Tiger, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Then we got Ricky Starks defeating Matt Sydal to retain the FTW championship. Look, I've said my piece about it. No heat. Crowd was dead for this, and why would they be anything else than dead? There was nothing to this here. Nice stalling suplex by Sydal. Leaping Hurricane Rana was really cool. Lightning Spiral is always great. Starks gets the win with the Rochambeau. We're in, we're out, we're done. If this is like a special event, right? Your big TNT event, Ricky Starks versus Matt Sydal says Dynamite all, hell, you know what? Says Dark all over it. I don't understand why this match, I understand why they did the match. I understand the context. Back against the wall, we got to book something, we got to do, let's do this. But you got to understand why some people were disappointed. Jess Brown, nice to see you, sir. Welcome to the chat. Dr. Britt Baker successfully retained her AEW World Women's title against Riho in a really fun match. I like this so much. I don't know what to do with people who can't get behind Riho anymore. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know why would anyone shit on Riho? I don't understand it. Riho's fantastic. They had a really steady build to this match for a really hot finish. Sling Blade on the floor by Britt. Dragon Suplex was Riho's answer on Britt on the floor. Jamie Hayter is around the ring, of course. She's there with a Rebel. The entourage of one DMD. Hayter has a table and she's holding it. Riho runs up the table. Kicks Jamie Hayter. We saw the spot. You saw the gif with Jamie's knees under the table and everyone, ooh, oh no, is Jamie okay? Yes, Jamie's okay. Jesus Christ, she's not made out of glass. She's a pro wrestler. She's wrestled in Stardom. She can quite assuredly have a table land a little awkwardly on her legs. That's fine. Stop treating her like she's like some crystal, menagerie, a glass menagerie figure, like the play from Tennessee Williams. Britt hit some great snap suplexes back in the ring, and listen, I hear some slander about Britt Baker's work, right? Oh, not as good as Thunder Rosa, not as good as Jamie Hayter. So, look, again, I'm not gonna sit here and try to defend Britt Baker as, you know, her being like the next coming of Karl Gotch. But Britt always brings some fucking solid fundamentals. So that just, you're like, that seem innocuous. But the way she did those cravat knee lifts, she had Rio in a cravat, 3 knee lifts to the face. That was expertly done. It hit the bricks, all right? Maybe she doesn't go like she doesn't go 50 miles an hour all the time. But when you see that kind of stuff, you're like, hey, that's good shit. That's solid stuff. And there's wrestlers, and you know, if you're a listener to the Mr. Warren Hayes show, you know which wrestler I'm going to be, wrestlers I talk about. I mean when I'm going to say this. There are wrestlers out there who wrestle on nationwide television, on a weekly wrestling program, on a national cable program that don't have any fundamentals. So when I see Britt Baker doing something as simple as, something like a cravat knee lifts, I'm like, I pop. I'm like, look at how good this shit is. But it's not as spectacular as a springboard sunset bomb, you know? Tiger feint kick by Riho and a bridging half crab, which I popped for. I thought that was awesome. Britt does a ripcord forearm followed by an air raid crash, which ruled. Rio has this awesome sequence where she fights like hell to get out of the lockjaw, you know, and she goes to the ropes to clasp them, but Hayter and Rebel are there to push her hands off, and you're like, but she's fighting to get out of it. She eventually does. She hits a crucifix bomb, brilliant Northern Lights with a bridge for the closest 2.9 of all time. But Britt hits the stomp, lockjaw. We're out of here. She retains. I loved this match. I thought it was great. I thought match of the night. But a middling show, a show where you're like, Rampage is a better week to week show than Battle of the Belts was. AK Germany 96 left a super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, AK Germany. He says, Britt has grown so much and delivers good matches. It's not her fault that AEW booking makes her title defenses lack heat. Because, of course, she wins. Is it a question of heat? Because I agree with you. Like, she has grown leaps and bounds from what she was when they started the company in 2019 to what she is today. Here's the thing. I am a sincere believer that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. You know, like, you can have the most predictable outcome in the world, but you can still give me a match that will have me believing the entire way through and have me up on my out of my seat and going, Jesus, this is great, this is great, this is great. You know, like Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay this year at Wrestle Kingdom 16 in the main event. There was no fathomable logical reason for Will Ospreay to go over Okada. Absolutely no reason. But Jesus Christ, what a match. Got me all the way in. And Britt, let's not forget that Britt, her main issue is that she's a heel. Here's the thing. She's a heel that gets babyface reactions. And she gets bigger babyface reactions than the babyfaces she's facing. And that's the crux of the problem that AEW has with her booking. Is who is a big enough babyface to get to the big match? I think Thunder Rosa is the right answer, of course. But let's keep it hypothetical, right? It's Riho. Everyone loves Riho. Well, at least you know what I mean. Apparently, there's a lot of people who don't like Riho, and I don't understand those people. But hey, all tastes are in nature. I'm not going to complain if I don't get it, but live your life, be happy, don't hurt animals or other humans. That's just as simple as that. But Britt, Riho is a babyface. She gets good reactions, but nothing close to what Britt gets, because Britt is the star of the division. She is one of the faces of the company. They want her to be a heel, but she gets the babyface reactions. What are you gonna do? She's that kind of heel that she's so good at it. You just want to cheer for her because you love her work. It's just as simple as that. She's just an extremely effective heel. Now, Chris Statlander, they're clearly setting her up. Again, Chris is a great babyface, but she's not on that level. So you go in here and you're going, well, it's not going to be her either. We know what the match is. We know, everyone knows. Tony knows. Rosa's the only one who gets. Listen, folks, when I was on my AEW tour, my wrestling tour last August, I saw Thunder Rosa at 3 different shows. And at those 3 shows, she got the biggest pop of the night, except at the show at the United Center. One other guy got a bigger pop. But she gets these tremendous reactions everywhere she goes. And I saw her in a gymnasium and people were up on their feet and no one shouted that loud for anyone else on the card. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite now. Again, middling effort. And I know there's, again, a lot of... And here's the thing, okay? Here's a challenge. I want to establish a challenge to a lot of AEW fans who take criticism of AEW very, very harshly. They feel like we're being unfair. I love AEW. I really do. Like, this is the type... AEW systematically puts out my favorite wrestling shows week after week for a bunch of reasons. But that does not make them exempt of any kind of criticism. If anything, I am much more inclined to want to be critical of AEW because true criticism comes from a place of love. And if I say, AEW, it sucks when you start your show with a promo, it is out of love. Because when AEW distinguished itself out the gate for being the wrestling program that started with a wrestling match every single week. A couple of exceptions aside. But now, I think we've seen this 3, maybe 4 times over the past 2 months. I don't want a trend in this. There's another company that has me sit through 17 minutes of talk before I get a match. And that's exactly what happened last night. Didn't get 17 minutes of talk, but from the moment that the show started until the bell rang for the first match, 17 minutes where nothing happened wrestling related. That's not why I watch AEW. That's not why I get excited about it. If I want to stick around and watch people cut promos on each other for the longest amount of time, drawing shit out, there's Friday Night SmackDown that I can tune into and be miserable. So when I say I hate it when AEW starts with a promo, I don't say this because I hate AEW. I say this because this is something I don't want to see a trend with. And I'm starting to see a trend. I see every couple of weeks now, they're doing this. And I don't like it. Because I'm escaping somewhere else that does that not only every week, but every show they have. Oh, but Warren, it's just 1 week. It's not just 1 week. And I prefer to be alarmist now, and hopefully I'm proven wrong. That's all I want, because I don't want this to continue. Because honestly, like, whenever there's an opening promo, I think the question that you as a fan have to ask yourself is, why did this start the show? Why was this so primordial and important that I could not get a match before this? Because I'm tuning into wrestling to watch wrestling matches. Why am I not getting a wrestling match? Now, if it is August and you're at the United Center, the first guy who comes out is CM Punk and all he does is talk, that's understandable. That's entirely excusable. There's no arguing against that. That's exactly what you need to do. But a run-of-the-mill angle where you're setting up storylines, don't get me wrong, setting up storylines is fine, it's cool. It's fine. But why did we start with it? There's nothing that impacted the rest of the show that happened on that promo there. There's nothing that made it feel special. Nothing that was like, there was no other way to start this show. It had to be like this. Was Chaos member Chris Statlander running in to protect Orange Cassidy from Adam Cole like this big... I loved it, but it could have happened in quarter hour number 2. You see what I mean? Because it boils down to the basic principle of, if I'm watching pro wrestling, I want to see people wrestle. I don't want to see overextended promo segments. I don't. And if AEW, which has been a haven for fans like myself, to sit down and be like, cool, a match, and not only a match, a dynamic, fun match to set the tone and get you excited for the rest of the card. Not just like let's just do a couple of jabrones. No, like a high energy, and you're like, yeah, this is cool. You're coming in and you're asking me to sit down and listen to people talk on the mic, even if it is Adam Cole, even if it is Matt Jackson, even if, like, this is not why I watch wrestling. That's all. Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, as long as AEW isn't doing it literally every show like WWE does, I'm okay with them doing it. Plus, there is no denying AEW promos are better. Look, AEW promos are great. If you're going to do, my point is this, if you're going to do it to open your show, it has to be worthwhile. It has to be something where I sit there and I'm like, this show could not have started any other way than this. Because otherwise, give me a wrestling match. I am here to watch wrestling. Because that is my same gripe that I have with the other guys. I'm here to watch wrestling. And I will use the same argument that I use with the other guys as well. If I sit down to watch a 30-minute comedy show, and within the first 17 minutes, there's not even a joke, not even a joke that doesn't make me laugh. I mean, not even a joke. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, at least they tried this out. I'll be like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be watching a comedy right now. No one's even trying to deliver a joke. I tune in to watch wrestling. I should be seeing wrestling when I sit down at 8 p.m. Eastern to watch wrestling. or 8 p.m. on a Friday night, or 8 p.m. On a Monday night. You know what I mean? I don't think it's unreasonable. Now here's the flip side of this. CM Punk versus Wardlow. Okay? Absolutely brilliant stuff. And this is, I can't sing the praises of this enough. I enjoyed every moment of this. A match that serves as an angle to establish not just 3 stories in one. Wardlow has been destroying people every week. He gets CM Punk put in his path because Wardlow is MJF's stooge for now. And MJF is like, Wardlow, you're going to get rid of CM Punk for me because I don't want to fight this guy. So what happens? Get into the match. CM Punk gets owned. He gets destroyed. He's got no offense. Wardlow is decimating him. He eats 5 power bombs. I've got my notes here. 5 power bombs. He goes to cover him. MJF says, no, you're going to give him some more. He eats another power bomb. Does Phil. He eats another power bomb on top of that. MJF is like, we're not done. He clears the timekeeper's table. Tells Wardlow, put him through it. Power bomb through the table. We are up to 8 power bombs. And by the way, I have been told by multiple wrestlers, power bombs suck to take. Okay? They suck. Punk beats the 10 count. He can make it to the ring, okay? MJF calls for another power bomb. Wardlow grabs him. Punk wraps him up. Win. Wraps him up into a pin combination. Gets the win. Of course, after MJF confronts Wardlow, Wardlow's like, you little... And Shawn Spears comes in to keep them from killing each other. Or from Wardlow killing MJF, if we're being honest. Now, here's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, need Wardlow to power Spears 10 times and do the hand motion. Yeah, of course. That has to be... If he doesn't do that, it is the greatest missed opportunity of all time. It is a travesty to our business. Here's what we did in one match, in this match here. Action, physicality. It advanced the CM Punk MJF storyline. MJF continues to fear CM Punk. He's still being a coward. He's sending his goon in to soften him up. And boy, did he get softened up. It continues the slow turn of Wardlow on MJF. We all see it coming. We know it's going to happen. To my point from what I was talking about earlier, it's not about the destination at this point. It's about the journey because we know it's inevitable, right? And we're just savoring any moment. And goddamn if it isn't great. And the third thing that all this did continues to push Wardlow. This is a push. This is what you call a push. This is what you call a push. That's exactly what they're doing with Wardlow. Now, if you think that this was bad for Wardlow last night, I don't know what to tell you. Wardlow looks like an even greater star than when all of this started. He took CM Punk and ragdolled him. He lost because And Jim Ross pointed this out earlier in the match. If y'all pay attention, CM Punk, the veteran, the only thing that's keeping... Because remember, look, JR has this hard-on for Wardlow, right? He's strong, he's athletic, he's fast, and he's putting all that over, and he says the only thing that's keeping Wardlow from hitting the top is inexperience. What did CM Punk do? He got him with a veteran move. CM Punk was just outmatched by a guy who is 15 years his veteran. And I fucking loved it. And despite that, he took the guy, CM Punk, undefeated. CM Punk, the messiah of the disenfranchised of pro wrestling. The untouchable CM Punk, and he demolished him. Not even Eddie Kingston got that much offense on CM Punk. Wardlow is a made man. Everyone is, and just the fact that he had this match won, but he listened to MJF, it's MJF's fault that he lost. Ultimately. And that just adds more fuel to that fire. It's coming, man. And it's going to be good. It's going to be so good. And when Wardlow finally beats MJF, that guy is going to be a superstar. This is how you build stars, folks. This is how you do it. Not by cycling them in and out of a title picture. This is how you do it. It's impeccable stuff that they're doing right now. And now, let's compare this to Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida, which is essentially the same pattern. Shida comes in, she walks down the ring, she gets jumped by Deeb, and Deeb just destroys her knee. She doesn't give a shit. It's not about winning a match here. It's about destroying Shida. Goes after the knee, whacks it with a kendo stick, just all over the knee, destroying it, sending it into the ring steps, locks her up into the ring. Shida, the ref has to call the end, has to call the stoppage, because Shida can't do it anymore. What does Deeb do after the match? Goes away gracefully? Fuck no! She goes after her again. And as she finally exits the ring, you've got the baby faces running down. TJ and Sky Blue, like the unquestionable girl next door baby faces, right? Running to Shida to make sure she's okay. And so, are you all right? Are you all right? You've got the referees within earshot telling Deeb, what's wrong with you? That is an good old-fashioned heel that you've got right there. That's how you do it. Shida, they did this to write her off TV because she's going to Japan, right? Why not take advantage of it to build a heel? That's what you do. And so expertly done by someone who was clearly Shida's nemesis. And you know what happens then? Then here's the great thing. Boys, girls, and everyone in between, or as I like to say, guys and gals and non-binary pals. This is what happens. When Shida comes back, she's got a match baked in. The minute she returns, there's the match everyone wants to see. It's going to be the 5th time. I don't give a shit. Because they keep freshening it up. That's good old-fashioned heel work. That's how you use your baby faces. Oh, but Shida's booked so weak now. She was a champ. Because she's being outclassed. Because she's being outdone by someone she's never met. She's never met someone like Serena Deeb in AEW. Someone so vicious and calculating and methodical that just wants to snap people's legs. So she doesn't know what to do. She's outclassed. She's going to go heal up. She's going to get rich. She's going to get smart. She's going to come back. I loved it. Now, the parallel here, folks, of both of these situations here, the CM Punk Wardlow thing, the Shida Deeb thing, here's the parallel. Look at everything this has done to elevate these feuds, and multiple feuds in one situation, to make them go forward in ring stuff, not 12 minutes of witty promos, not 12 minutes of, oh yeah, you used to be an MMA fighter, oh yeah, you used to be on Rosie O'Donnell. None of that stuff. And look how much I was able to care about what was happening, because it's in-ring storytelling. It's just, long-time listeners of the show will know how much I harp on this, but you have the perfect example right here. The story bumps that were taken on last night on Dynamite in both of these feuds were amazing and were accomplished in the ring. This is what I mean by in-ring storytelling, right there. It's a little on the nose. Sometimes it can be subtler, but that's fine. It doesn't have to be like full of metaphors. And this was good. And it was exciting. And by God, did Dynamite last night need exciting? I didn't care for last night's Dynamite. That's the whole week here. I didn't care for it. And that's what I was going to say earlier, and I sort of deviated. You have to be able, as a fan, to look upon something and be like, yeah, this wasn't great. And you can, without necessarily coming up with the excuses to say, hey, you know what, this is fine because, Battle of the Belts was okay because, geez, they had to, they were Cody COVID and all of that. And it was just an hour. It was supposed to be 2. TNT's fault, blah, blah. You can still say, because the end result is still what it is, despite all the excuses you can create, you can still say, yeah, this wasn't great. You can, and that's fine. And it's not hating to do that. I wouldn't be honest with myself or you as viewers, listeners, if I were to sit here and tell you, AEW Dynamite last night, fantastic shit, top to bottom, great belt to belt stuff. I know. And I love AEW. I really do. I can't sit here and tell you, hey, this was great shit. The CM Punk Wardlow thing is legendary. Deeb Shida was fantastic. The rest, you got Dan Lambert coming out to gatekeep Adam Page's cowboyness, which I thought, line of the night, when Adam Page called Dan Lambert a walking Facebook profile, I popped so hard. Look at how, see, this is the state of the premier social media platform, once known as Facebook, still known as Facebook, when it's a punchline to talk about people who are no longer connected with reality and just scream into the void. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. You had Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin, which was fine. Nothing bad about it. It's just, it's a match that happened, I guess. Jay Lethal is now looking out for Dante Martin. Where's Leo Rush? Now I'm worried about Leo Rush. Matt Hardy versus Penta was I was like, okay, I didn't quite care for it. All right. After the match, though, lights go out. Is it Sabu? No, it's not Sabu. It's Malachi Black who pops in. He gets jumped by Penta and a whole bunch of people, right? He gets jumped by Penta and the Varsity Blondes. That's right. The Varsity Blondes come in and they jump him. Then the lights go out again. They come back on. Is it Sabu? No, it's not Sabu. It's better than Sabu. Brody King finally made his very anticipated AEW debut. Wasn't officially announced beforehand, but it was probably the worst kept secret in the world of wrestling at this point. Fantastic. And guys, if you're not familiar with Brody Lee, get ready to be, because he's awesome. He really, really is awesome. Ring of Honor stalwart. He was working on New Japan Strong. Just a fantastic wrestler. And you know what's cool? And this is what, when the rumors about Brody Lee had started, this is what I had talked about, so I'll reiterate it. He is a wrestler who looks like no one else on the AEW wrestler. There is a typecast on the AEW roster. A lot of guys with the same physiques, so, but he looks like no one else. He's huge, athletic, the tattoos, like he just stands out instantly. And then when you see him work, it's going to be even more shocking or engrossing once you actually start seeing him, where you're like, Jesus, look at this guy go. The Acclaimed defeated Bear Country, and I don't know, why was this match I don't know. Like look, they're clearly, want to push the Acclaimed, and that's fine. Anthony Bowens rules. Bear Country, I saw a lot of people get really excited when Bear Country came into AEW, but I don't know, man. And I see them at the Beyond show, and they're like, wow, this is great. And the main event was Sammy Guevara successfully defending his interim TNT title, like the only defense he's ever going to have, because Cody's back next week. Against Daniel Garcia, which was fine. They just go for it, which is something that I always can get behind. Great tope con hilo by Sammy early on. Snap suplex as well. I love the leapfrog counter by Garcia, where he just catches Sammy midair and he hits him with a backbreaker. Fantastic stuff. Garcia blocks the GTH and rolls into the sharpshooter. That was awesome. And then he wrenches back on it. I love it when Garcia does that. When he lays in the sharpshooter and then torques back. Fantastic stuff. Great sequence with a sleeper hold. How many times do you hear that happen? But that was great stuff. Garcia just going nuts with the sleeper. Ends with a pile driver. Can't put Sammy away. But a GTH by Guevara does it. And then after that, everything breaks down with the Eddie Kingston, Chris Jericho 2.0 stuff that I've talked about before that I'm not too excited about. Look, even the best has a bad day. I don't think it was a great week for AEW. It happens. It's fine. As long as the good things continue to be a trend as opposed to the opposite, we'll be fine. We'll all be fine, folks. That wraps up the weekly wrestling inspection. And that also wraps up this week's edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Listen, folks, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I really, really appreciate it. Leave a like if you're still around and you're like, oh, I haven't done it yet. Here's a like, Warren. Thank you very much. If this is your first time popping in, you're like, I'd like to see more of this guy. Maybe, have I worked hard enough for your subscription tonight? I'd like to think so. If not, come back next week. Let's give it another shot. I like to think that I work for your subscriptions, that I earn your subscriptions, because your time is precious. we get bombarded with notifications. If you let me into your regular consciousness, it's a prize for me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for that. If you do subscribe, and if you don't, well, I'll work harder next week to get your subscription. You can bet on that. You can absolutely bet on that. Wait, no, not yet. Don't. Shh. Join the MrWarrenHayes Discord. It's always a good time there. Follow me on Twitter as well. Follow Bell to Bells on Twitter as well. I think that about does it. I hope you have a great weekend, folks. There's some great shows happening this weekend. Hope to see you out there. In the meantime, see you next time.